Alright, The Darkest Night. This was that sci-fi movie that came out towards the end of 2011 that most people didn't go see because the trailers told you absolutely nothing about what was going on. So what happens is, you have two people who are selling kind of a website that's, think of it kind of like a more pretentious version of Facebook. So they go to Russia, and the guy they were having help them kind of screws them over because they didn't sign an NDA. And then they meet these two girls who are also Americans. So, and then all the power goes out. And people begin to die from these weird, all you see is like electrical whip, and they fly in the air, and then they get shredded into like dust. Okay? And all the power's out. You find out that there are these electrical-based energy beings who are aliens who are coming down to Earth to harvest our resources. So more it's coming out like a giant EMP wave. Okay, it's pretty interesting. And we can't see them because their bioelectrical impulses are different than what the human eyes can see. When it comes to the sci-fi aspect, you know, the moment they go visit the crazy guy who builds the microwave cannon in his Faraday cage, you know, once they go to this guy, it all of a sudden becomes a decent sci-fi film because he has some background and whatnot. The bizarre thing is, you can shoot a gun at these things, but how do you know they're there? When they get close, things power up. So many people will have like light bulb begins to glow, you know they're there. Towards the end of the movie, they're throwing cell phones out. When a cell phone begins to ring, you know they're close by. Okay. But how can you even shoot them? They've got some sort of weird... It almost looks like chains constantly rotating around them. Think of it kind of like, whenever they show a nucleus and they show the electrons floating around the outside, think of it kind of like that. I like that for the most part you never see them, and when you do see them, it's kind of this weird, you know, orangish glow with like black chain-like material flowing all around it. It looks really impressive. And then towards the end, when they actually use a gun to make them kind of visible, then they destroy them, it looks really bizarre. It kind of takes on the appearance of the alien from Independence Day, while still wrapped in the weird, you know, cage device. And of course, the group of five, the only people who actually have dialogue, end up being your surviving group. They eventually find a way to do with the Faraday cage, and eventually they make their way to a group of like Russian soldiers who are trying to find a way to defeat them. And then they find, you know, their salvation. And the weird thing ends up being, at the very end, they do this really, really just over the top line. It's like, you know, this is the day the extinction ends and the revolution begins, or the war begins, something like that. It's really over the top. All in all, I mean, this movie will probably have a decent shelf life when it comes to, you know, the home movie market or on the Sci-Fi Channel. I can tell why it didn't do well on the big screen. It's pretty good. My biggest complaint on this whole thing is when they happen to show Moscow, you can tell a lot of it was done through blue screens and putting things in later. Because there are moments you can obviously tell that the person you're looking at is not on the background. Or they're looking out a window, and the window looks like it's entirely not there. You know, that's my only real main complaint. If you're going to go to Moscow, do as much as you can actually in Moscow, because it looks kind of like Moscow. But actually, for a sci-fi film that was fairly low budget, actually surprisingly good.